Hey everybody, it's Rockula, and I wanted to address this recent situation with the Fine Brothers and YouTube copyright slash trademark enforcement. This is going to be a quite long and involved process, and it's going to be kind of complicated to navigate this video. So I'm about to post the instructions on how to watch this video the way that you want to watch it. And get ready to pause your screen in 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, now that we have that established, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to look at you straight through the camera like I'd like to because I got to read this. I'm going to trip over my words as it is, and I've organized everything and I don't want to keep repeating myself or sounding like a rant. What I'm trying to do is present to you all the information that I've kind of gathered together and my thoughts on the issue. So, this is not only very important to me as a YouTuber, but an artist in general, especially due to the fact that my art contains a healthy dose of sampling pop culture in various ways. In the interest of not going completely negative with this video, I first want to say that I support the basic concept of React World. I will make comments towards the end of the video on that, but first I need to address the damages that their legal actions have caused. Here's a bit of background on the situation. The Fine Brothers established a channel called React World, where independent content creators can apply for a license to put out videos in the specific React World format. You are required to share revenue with React World, but you get all the benefits of being on a major YouTube channel, like exposure and, being on the channel that you love the most. Point number 1, trademarking your brand. When you see a video on YouTube titled Kids React or Elders React or several other well-known titles in the React genre, most of us assume that it is a Fine Brothers React channel production. You recognize the graphics, you become familiar with the reactors, and you even pick your favorites. You don't even need to see the credits or look at the channel name because you recognize the format. You know the difference between a BuzzFeed reaction video or one of those independent creators sitting around showing his friends crazy videos. This is what's referred to as an individual format, and it's a concept that we need to get familiar with as we explore this topic. Let's establish the difference between a trademark and a copyright. A trademark is a word, name, symbol, or device which is used in trade with goods to indicate the source of the goods and to distinguish them from the goods of the others. Copyright is a form of protection provided to the authors of original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, and certain other intellectual works, both published and unpublished. In other words, copyright is so that somebody can't take your whole album or your whole book and post it verbatim. Trademark is when somebody tries to make a symbol, name, device, blah, 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 which mirrors yours in such a way that it attempts to deceive the viewer into thinking that pretty much you're the Fine Brothers. The Fine Brothers have taken legal action to secure their format against blatant ripoffs and people reposting Fine Brothers videos on their own channel. They have trademarked the various phrases that they use as titles. The Fine Brothers consider phrases like Kids React and the rest to be their intellectual property. I personally believe they have a valid point when they claim they need to protect those phrases from being co-opted by imitators and scammers, but this is where it turns ugly because they also trademark the term React. Okay, so let's sidestep the immediate subject and bring up an example of what's been happening. Metallica and the story about them suing a tribute band, sending them a 21-page legal document threatening a lawsuit because the band's logo looked so much like Metallica's. That was a trademark infringement. And of course, the internet went crazy. Everybody jumped on the I hate Metallica because they sold out 20 years ago bandwagon and started ranting about how greedy Lars and James are, blah, 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 blah. Then the band comes out with a press release later on saying that they had not even heard of the lawsuit until the news story came out. They found out that an errant lawyer had taken it upon himself to represent Metallica on the matter without their knowledge or consent. The band reported that they had fired the lawyer and apologized publicly not only to the tribute band but to all of their fans in general. Could this be a similar situation? Are the Fine brothers not telling us what really happened behind the scenes because they don't want to make their investors and lawyers angry? I mean, come on, Metallica is Metallica and they hire and fire whoever they want to because they're Metallica. But the Fine brothers are sponsored. They're not a corporate channel like Conan O'Brien or USA Network or other that. They have to have financial backers to get to the level that they're at, and they need to keep those financial backers happy. Once this story got out, the immediate argument was that you can't trademark a common word or phrase. It is especially sticky when you try to trademark something that can be considered both a noun and a verb. In this case, the Fine brothers appear to claim the verb react to be a proper noun as it applies to their format. That gave people the suspicion that they are attempting to corner the market on the react format. Trademarking such a verb noun opens the door for potential abuse, but you must always reserve judgment until someone's actions reveal the truth. And that truth hit a lot of people very hard once the legal wheels started turning. Point 2. YouTube and their flawed copyright policy. YouTube started out as a community of little guys putting out all sorts of videos from the inane and amateur to innovative and creative, but it was still wide open. I remember back when they had just gotten rid of all the porn. But the inevitable corporate influence has turned it into a situation that reminds me of the pre-internet days of commercial TV versus cable access. Today we have corporate-backed channels dominating the YouTube algorithms, knocking the little guy back countless pages on the search engine. Most people don't search more than a couple of pages, so the farther back you get pushed, the less foot traffic you receive. The result of all of this moneyed interest was that multi-million-dollar corporations who specialize in monopolizing intellectual property were given free rein when it came to deleting anything they deemed to be an infringement of their property. They don't have to even be the artist, they just have to control the rights. This makes things very cold and impersonal. The biggest issue for YouTube content creators is the constant fear of using a clip that will earn them a deletion and a copyright strike. I would invite you to pause this video and read the official YouTube copyright statement. Here's a quick synopsis of what happens when you get a copyright strike on YouTube. Your video is deleted, then you are given a strike. This strike restricts your ability to upload a video longer than 15 minutes, denies you the ability to live stream videos and other minor details, but the biggest hit to the YouTuber comes when they are denied the ability to monetize their channel. There is an appeals process, but it is a very rare instance when the strike is rescinded. In addition, there is language that can be perceived as having an intimidating tone. A section of this process states that pursuing an appeal on a copyright strike opens you up to the possibility of being sued by the owner of the copyright. There are quite a few people who make a living off their channel, but there is a larger majority of people who depend on that income as a kind of a part-time job. Then there are the people who do it just for the enjoyment. I'm one of those people, but I do have to confess that I do have ulterior motives, which is to bring attention to my musical projects. RockulaProductions.com. Up until recently, I've had 2 channels, and I only worried when they got close to 3 strikes because I didn't want to get the whole channel deleted. But then I started Rockula Retrospective as an effort to try to work within a more mainstream format. I tried my best to make quality reviews while consciously trying to avoid a copyright strike. I didn't succeed. Here are the types of notices that I have received. Blocked worldwide. This is exactly what it says it is. No one can see your video, but it doesn't get deleted. Every time I've gotten this warning, I have immediately deleted the video. I never received a copyright strike or a penalty for this type of notification. Same set of circumstances occurred for the next notice, which is matched third-party content. This notice is usually a result of the copyright holder reporting your video, but declining to have it removed. Instead, they assume all rights to the monetization of this video and you get nothing. Well, I don't want to say you don't get nothing. You get to not have your channel crippled for 6 months, so consider yourself lucky. I almost always take the video down in a matched third-party content situation, edit out the offending clip, and then re-upload the video. Here we go, the dreaded copyright strike. This is the face that I make when I log on to my YouTube account and see a copyright strike. As I've described before, a copyright strike limits your channel and strips you of revenue for an entire 6-month period. I personally got 2 copyright strikes on Rockula Retrospective because of my reviews of The Walking Dead. One was a simple mistake during a live stream of me and Meat Pie watching The Talking Dead. It seems that the audio from the TV was too high up and it alerted the copywrong bots. However, I'd like to point out that we had just finished another live stream of watching the actual TV show. It was at the same exact volume and passed through the copywrong bots unscathed. The next strike was for a mashup I did of The Walking Dead. It was a digital collage comprised of fragments of the show. The clips were extremely short and out of context. A vast majority of them were either sped up, reversed, or both. I figured this would be enough alteration to get past the YouTube copywrong bots and qualify for fair use. I received the second copyright strike within a few hours of posting the mashup. So here we go with the punishment phase. I received these 2 copyright strikes within a week of each other, and the punishment phase is 6 months. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to have to wait out that 6 months plus a week because, they happen within a week of each other. Nope. They enforce copyright strikes back to back. This caused me to lose all of my privileges for an entire year. In fact, Rockula Retrospective just got off probation January 30th, 2016. It is not hard to search and find people speaking their minds about YouTube's arbitrary copyright policy. It affects all but the very powerful corporate channels with their armies of entertainment lawyers. It only affects me on an artistic level. I started out monetizing, but I eventually gave up after all the copyright strikes and disabled monetization on every single one of my videos. I got kind of bitter and I thought to myself, why should I put commercials on my videos when I have not and will not ever earn 1 penny from YouTube because of my low count rating? YouTube makes millions of pennies from little guys like me, and those millions of pennies add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Enough talk about the problems. What is your solution? With traditional profit streams drying up, we have to accept that corporations are going to squeeze profit out of everything that they own. Also, we have to acknowledge that corporate media participation is what created the larger audience for YouTube in the first place. Try getting a large hit count on Vimeo or Dailymotion and you'll know what I mean. Let's face it, YouTube is the only game in town right now, so you have to deal with it and try to squeeze out a few more views on the minors and from your own homepage. Okay, let's visualize YouTube for a second as a giant convention. The independent channels that have backers like the Fine Brothers get booths on the main floor, while the corporate channels like, CBS, NBC, or whoever has a big corporation behind them gets the stage with the giant banner and the video screen and the PA. You, as an independent content creator, are given a free booth to this convention, and you can do whatever you want to with that booth. Unfortunately, you're way back in the convention center, off the floor, in one of those tiny little conference rooms, packed in with a bunch of other little guys. It's possible to achieve enough success to get over to the main floor, but most of us little guys either just stick with where we are or quit. Here are some of the compromises that I would like to see with YouTube. First of all, overt piracy. That's a no-brainer. Also, if you're enough of a douche to want to take credit or profit from someone else's work that is not yours, you deserve to be punished in the first place. We need to establish defined parameters on fair use. There's a huge gap between the spirit of fair use and the strict application of copyright and trademark on YouTube. I think I speak for the vast majority of creators when I say that we have zero interest in breaking your rules or stealing revenue from you. It would help us artists to know how to edit our videos so that it doesn't infringe on your copyright. Next, allow free use to be unconditional so that strikes may not be used to intimidate people who give unfavorable opinions on products or media. Next, give creators a chance to fix their mistake before punishing with a copyright strike. I spoke earlier that third-party content claims and block worldwide notices do not carry the harsh penalty of a copyright strike. Creators need the reassurance that they can make an occasional mistake without being crippled for 6 months without so much as a warning. Lastly, let's make the appeals process fair because it's not. The Fine Brothers and the bigger picture. The backlash against the Fine Brothers has been enormous, and it has caused them to make an update video with an explanation as well as an apology. The comments section of this video was brutal, and I am assuming that this is why the video apology was deleted. The Fine Brothers YouTube channel has been hemorrhaging subscribers at an alarming rate, and there are several live stream videos of the subscriber count as it dips, rises a bit, then dips deeper. So why are so many people piling onto this issue? For the most part, people tend to treat YouTubers who speak out on this issue as conspiracy theorists or trolls who just want to hate on everything. That was until the trademark applications were made public. The apology video shows two nervous wrecks vainly trying to defend themselves as social media rips them apart for their own enjoyment. How can decent people enjoy watching someone get slaughtered like that? Because in many people's eyes, the Fine Brothers represent something way worse than a major network channel. People think that they've sold out, and many others believe that they are trying to corner the React market and destroy all their potential rivals. The numerous deletions and copyright strikes just confirm the allegations of the people that are yelling the loudest. The simmering resentment of years of YouTube copyright abuse is boiling over, and the crowd is starting to throw rocks at the YouTube copywrong police. It just so happens that the Fine Brothers made the wrong choice at the worst possible moment, and this became the flashpoint. It seems that people are less likely to speak out against a corporate channel because they assume corruption by the very nature of existence of that channel. We as YouTubers just have to accept that the appeals process to remove a strike is going to be about as successful as getting good customer service over the phone with a cable company. Most of us just quietly sit out our 6-month punishment. But when a middle little guy like the Fine Brothers makes a mistake, we feel it is easier to gang up on them and make an example of them. The Fine Brothers have financial backers, but they are not a corporate media giant, so they are much of an easier target. The Fine Brothers put their money where their mouth is. The Fine Brothers eventually uploaded a press release announcing that they were retracting the copyright strikes, releasing their trademarks, and shutting down React World. I have had contact with several YouTubers who have confirmed that their strikes have been lifted but had not been given back monetization privileges yet. It appears that the Fine brothers are making good on their word, but I think dissolving the React channel was unnecessary. I still believe it is a great opportunity for those who seek exposure on a mainstream format and just want validation. Of course, they would have to share revenue with the React channel, but it seems like most people just want the validation of being on their favorite channel. It is inevitable that someone will pick up this idea and run with it. Somebody's going to figure out how to encourage participation while maintaining control over your own brand. Soapbox summation. The latest efforts of the Fine brothers to correct this situation has given me hope. I also hope that YouTube will pay attention to this online version of a riot. People are apt to not trust multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates, and they have no faith in businesses like YouTube sticking up for the rights of the little guy. We all built YouTube together, and it should belong to all of us. However, this goes way beyond YouTube and my ability to get away with using someone else's clip in my review. This is about the alarming amount of intellectual property being bought up by corporations. It seems almost comical that someone would try to trademark the word React, but it's not so comical that medical companies right now sit on their own patents that could save lives, but are waiting for their scientists/lawyers to try to find a way to get around all the other medical companies' patents so that they can cash in on the big prize at the end of the rainbow. Our civilization could be so much more advanced if people who owned all of the ideas would use them instead of trying to figure out a way to beat the other guy to the big payoff once the idea is finally realized. Our culture has always been built on the works of the past, and only in the last 100 years or so did a bunch of rich guys start having board meetings about how to trademark the word React. We don't need to theorize about what's going to happen because it's already happening. It comes down to this. Corporations want to buy up as much intellectual property as they can and turn around, jack up the price, sell it back to you. This is much like the time when people were buying up .coms and trying to sell them back. It's kind of like flipping ideas. I guess you could call these people ideas scalpers. And everyone resents a scalper, but they have no choice because the show's sold out. I want to end this on a positive and personal note. I've lived a great deal of my life in the 20th century, and I am proud of the fact that I readily accept the changes of this new era. The end of the 20th century was marked by a culture that started to lap itself, recycling old trends at an ever-increasing rate. Ideas were worn out and degraded from the constant repetition of hitting the copy bar. The internet came into its own in the 21st century, and today we have a culture built not on combinations and cross-pollinations of a couple of worn-out ideas, but a completely spherical base of knowledge. A culture where the new generation doesn't believe all the rules and mental restrictions that we put on ourselves in the old century. They access the total sum of human culture, then pick and choose what they want to use as an inspiration. Everything is fair game, and the result can be a conglomeration of incredibly various types of influences peppered over a digital catalog that doesn't depend on an entertainment corporation's money to release the art. Today's generation is not interested in the way things used to be run, and we are witnessing the failure of 20th century business models and the residue of outdated thought processes. A radical change is occurring in the form of empowerment for the individual and their ability to interject their viewpoint into the conversation. All of us have the power to keep this conversation going. We need to let it be known that we will not accept a culture that has been bought away from us and sold back to us for a huge markup. We also cannot accept the limitations put on our ability to comment on that culture. We have seen the potential to steer human culture into a new age of enlightenment and maybe even spark the next evolutionary growth spurt. Seems like corporations are legally defined as people now, but unfortunately, we are seeing the old familiar pattern of absolute power corrupting absolutely. If we hand over our culture to these people, it will be co-opted, trademarked, and copyrighted. And the only participation we will get to do is pay for it. I'm Rockula. Thank you for your time and attention.